What are the economic problems facing the next president? Certainly one of them is the growing national debt. And as such, the president will have to be very creative in knowing exactly how to invest every dollar in a way that will grow the economy. That will be all necessary. It will be necessary that they do not just throw money out there in an effort to kick the can down the road, and hopefully they'll be out of office before all the stuff hits the fan. We can't use that strategy. The strategy is going to have to be to know where each dollar is going and what that will do before we even invest it. Know exactly what the end result of every dollar spent is going to do in the way of growing the economy. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to put Social Security and Medicare and so forth on a solid footing and into an area that will guarantee solvency into the future. We're going to have a type of budget and a type of spending that is geared towards growing the economy in every area so that hopefully we can grow our way into a lower national debt. Before we have to increase it even further, we can grow a lot of it, what we have now, down. Now, this is a matter of looking at everything as interrelated. The president has to see, or should see, he or she should see, that everything that we do, from the way that we reduce the cost of medical care to the way we deal with immigration to the types of, even the types of jobs which we create. A lot of jobs have to be created, but we got to make sure those jobs, even in the area of creating jobs, that these are jobs which will have a definite effect on growing the economy. Everything from the tax rate on capital gains to the regular tax, income tax rate, all of those different rates are going to have to be done creatively in a way which will grow the economy. Investment has to be made in needed areas, but make them in a way that will grow the economy. And that can all be done. You know, if we look at immigration and say, well, you know, we just let everybody in without checking them or anything else, and then just hope that every one of them will come in and be solid citizens and pay into Social Security and so forth and so on, is that. And then don't make sure that that's going to happen, and don't make sure we know who's coming into the country. That could do more to destroy the economy than what it does to help. So we have to know what we're doing in the area and who we're bringing in to the country and what they're going to do to invest in that economy. We've spent so much money in this pandemic and in social programs and everything else that has caused the national debt to soar, that now we're going to have to find a way to invest everything wisely in a way that will make up that debt. And that is going to have to be started at some point, because, as I say, we have the Social Security and we have the Medicare and everything else. Okay, in the medical care, lowering the cost of Medicare, that is going to affect the economy, and we should figure out ways of lowering the cost of medical care that will cause the economy to grow, rather than taking on more debt in a way that will add even more to the deficit. Creative ways of lowering the cost of drugs and pharmaceuticals and lowering the cost of medical equipment and investing properly in technology to have the innovation and the incentive to develop lower cost medical equipment that does a better job but at a lower cost, and new inventions of medical technology that will perform better, do a better job, investing in the cost of medical education so that more and better doctors can go into the field. More and better nurses can achieve their degrees. Investing in our universities in a way that will drive down university costs, the cost of a college education down. All of these things, we need to see all of these things as interrelated, and if they're all invested in properly at the right time and the right way, will grow the economy to so much higher rate of growth than what would happen if we just willy-nilly start throwing money at the problem and just see, well, here's a problem, throw money, here's a problem, throw money, here's a problem, throw money. How are these problems all interrelated? And how is truly solving one problem in the right way, the correct way, and with the right investment going to affect all the other problems and cause them to lessen somewhat? Immigration is going to affect us one way or the other. We need to know how it's going to affect us. And the way we proceed in continuing our immigration programs and who we let in and everything is going to determine what the economy is going to do in many areas. Our racial tensions and all, solving those, investing more in communities that have been left out, cities that have been areas and cities that have been left out, and investing appropriately and creatively in people who have been disenfranchised traditionally or been left out in certain ways, and in the schools that prepare those people. If we do it creatively, that can create more of the productive type of jobs that will cause the economy to be affected in a positive way and grow. Trying to think through things one at a time and then putting out a program, developing a program for one particular problem at a time, passing that and then looking at another one like that without seeing the interrelation between all of those various programs and all the interrelation between the problems that have been created through lack of proper investment in the past and problems that have been created through lack of enough jobs for enough people and enough investment in the right jobs and the right innovation and invention and technology in a way that will reach the most people and benefit the most people. Not seeing the interrelationships between that and how each one affects the other, and what we do in one area affects all other areas in the country. That has created a situation where the economy has suffered, and thus the national debt has been increased more and more. Now, of course, the presidents didn't ask to have the current president or the president just before him didn't ask to have a pandemic come along that would cause us have to invest a lot of extra money into COVID-19 and all that type of thing. That's something that we have to be ready for when these emergencies come up. We need money ahead. We need to invest in a way that we're money ahead, that we're not way behind in our deficit, so that when these things come up, we're ready to deal with them. So, as a result, though, of being behind and having a large national debt when this COVID-19 hit, that has caused problems that need not have been there if we had invested properly in the past in the correct way. So the next president is going to have to deal with these things and ask him or herself, why did we get in a position where we were so heavily in debt and then we had an emergency come up and into a situation where the debt was already way beyond what it should have been? Why did we allow ourselves to get into that situation? What were the improper investments that we did that allowed that to get into that situation? And why is it now that we cannot finance our Social Security and we're dependent upon future generations to pay for Social Security. Why have we allowed Medicare to get in the situation that it is in? What did we not do in the way of our proper investments in our economy and in growing our economy during the last 20 or 30 years? What did we not do properly and creatively enough? Did we just use the money for political benefit in order to gain more votes or to help ourselves politically? Or did we actually make sure that we invested that money in the areas that would cause a healthy economy at all times? Investing creatively in a healthy economy. That's the number one thing that a president needs to do. That has to do also with the security of the nation. An economically solid country is a secure country that can that will be able to fight against its enemies, have the financing to do so if the problem comes up. You can't allow yourself to get so heavily in debt that then you're attacked by an enemy and then you can't even get the financing because you're so heavily in debt, and you can't even get a hold of the money in order to be able to finance the defense that you have to make for your country, the security of the country. You can't finance the security against cyber attack or infrastructure attack or anything else because you're so heavily in debt that the proper investment can't be put in those areas of security for the country. And protecting ourselves against diseases like COVID-19, we can't invest in the intelligence infrastructure, and all of the infrastructure of every kind that goes into protecting the country and making it more secure and making it more sound and making it more more likely and more conducive to people having a brighter future and being able to achieve their dreams and all of these things. All of these things are interconnected. And you hear so many speeches by presidents and leaders that speak about various issues and in issues that they're going to have spending bills on and proposals on to spend money on that totally fail to see all of the interrelating things that go into making a sound economy. And so it's just these issues are what are being pressed in upon us. These issues are what the interest groups are hollering for. These are the issues that everybody is saying that we need to invest in, and these are the issues that the loudest squeak of the wheel is sounding off on. And so these are the issues then that we're going to have a gigantic spending bill to cover in order to get those just out of our way. Rather than saying, let us develop an economic budget where every dollar goes into, just like as if we were investing it for ourselves in the stock market in a way which we know is going to bring a profit. And knowing how to invest low and then sell high, and how to invest in things that are going to grow in value, they're going to accrue in value, things that are going to mature later at a higher rate. Appreciate things that are going to invest in things that are going to appreciate and come back to help the economy in the future. All these things need to be looked at because there's a lot of money involved, and it's not as if the debt cannot be controlled and the debt cannot actually be wiped out if all the future dollars are invested appropriately in programs that are going to appreciate to the benefit of the economy, and so that new dollars will be produced. New tax dollars will be able to be brought in, and so on and so on. So I'm going to pray that we'll gain a vision about the economy and how to invest appropriately, how to invest creatively, that everyone will gain a big vision of what we can do to put our country on a sound basis, protect all the programs it has now. And that we're going to pray. If anybody is ill, if anybody is sick, pray in the name, Father, in the name of the Holy Son, Jesus, that you will raise people up off of their sick bed, bring them up out of their sicknesses of every kind and every disease of every kind. And Father, in the holy name of Jesus, that you would deliver people from every obsession, oppression, and depression, and lack of joy and happiness in their life. Give people an overwhelming sense of joy and happiness, overwhelming sense of a vision of a brighter future. We pray in the name of thy Holy Son, Jesus.